Support comes from Hampton Roads Community Foundation, partnering with donors from all walks of life to improve southeastern Virginia through grants, scholarships, and leadership initiatives. Learn more at hamptonroadscf.org.
Hello, everyone. I'm Barbara Ham-Lee. So, did you sigh with relief when the IRS announced last week an extension of the filing deadline for your 2020 taxes? Is now the time to take a tax prep break, or should you file now anyway? What if you are an independent contractor? How has the pandemic affected your taxes? What do you need to include or exclude this year? What if you were laid off, got extra help from the federal government via stimulus checks, or additional unemployment income? Is all that money taxable? What are your tax questions? We have help today with certified public accountant and owner of Pierre Accounting, Mr. Eric Pierre. But first, it's time to support what you love, Another View. And joining me to talk about it and making your pledge of support is Another View superfan, Dr. Barry Graham. Hey, Barry, how are you?
Hey there, Barbara. Boy, you couldn't have said that any better. I am a super fan, and I also answered that question. Yes, I am glad they delayed it a month. So, so thank you for the program today. I'm really looking forward to it.
No problem. Let's first give the number so that people can call in and make their pledge of support to support Another View. And that's 1-800-940-7170. Tell the volunteer that you're calling in support of Another View, one of the programs on WHRV-FM. It is our spring membership drive, and you know what that means. We depend on your support to help us bring you the outstanding programming that you have come to love and expect and respect on WHRV-FM. So give us a call at 1-800-940-7170.
Barbara, all morning I have been talking about how the programming here on 89.5 enlightens me, and I learn so much from it, from Morning Edition, BBC, 1A, and rolling right into Another View. It is such a wonderful opportunity to learn, and I know there are so many people like me love learning. I'm a lifelong learner, and this program here, not only does it enlighten me because it is so wonderful to listen to and to be a part of, but the amount of education and the things I learned through listening to it, it's just remarkable. So thank you. Thank you for your hard work and dedication. I see it. Trust me, I see the hard work. I tell people all the time, I certainly hope you don't think that we just jump into the chair and the show somehow materializes. It doesn't work that way.
It absolutely does not work that way, as I know that you know for your programming that happens over the weekend and even the programming that you do during the week. I mean, you're hosting the day and walking us through the day. And there's a lot to that. And so we really appreciate all of our members, current members, those of you who may have lapsed. Hopefully you will come back. Those of you who have been sitting on the fence and going, I really should support it. I do listen every week. Now is the time to call 1-800-940-7170. And Barry, I want to tell you, we've got two really cool gifts because it is our 10th anniversary. We are very proud of being on the air for 10 years. Thank you so much. So we have an Another View t-shirt. And for $10 a month as a sustainer, which means that we will take, you give us your credit card and we take $10 out per month until you tell us to stop. Or you can make a one-time gift of $120. The t-shirt and the sweatshirt that we also have available both say, Black lives have always mattered to Another View. And it's a celebration of our 10 years on the air. So be sure to ask about that if that's something that you're interested in. If you don't feel like talking on the phone, you can also text GIFT, G-I-F-T, to 1-800-940-7170 and make your pledge of support online. And either way, it will all come to support Another View. We do have kind of a little back and forth between all the hosts to see who we can get and how much we can raise during this hour. So Another View does have a $1,000 challenge. And so that means that your donation right now, if you call within the hour, will be matched dollar for dollar up to $1,000. But Lisa Godley and I, Barry, we're always up to something.
Oh, I know that.
So we really want to bring in at least $5,000 this hour.
very doable.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we've done it in the past, and we know we can do it again because you support us. 1-800-940-7170. That's the number to call. And Barry, when did you become such a super fan?
I became, well, in my teaching days, and of course I'm a retired teacher out of Virginia Beach. In my teaching days, I wasn't always able to hear the program, because that was right in the middle of the school day. So I'm going to say I became a super fan 5 years ago when I came on board full time here in Middays, was able to catch the show weekly. But to be perfectly honest with you, going back over the years, Barbara, I always enjoyed the program whenever I was able to catch it, even during my teaching years. I was able to tune in and catch the show. It is enlightening. It is lively. It is wonderfully researched and hosted. So I'm going to say going back 10 years. And I also want to say very quickly that if you contribute at the $60 level, you will get the monthly program guide, Dimensions. And on my coffee table is the wonderful March guide with the beautiful picture of Lisa Godley and Barbara Ham-Lee on the cover of it. And it's going to stay on my coffee table next month also.
Oh, you are so sweet. 1-800-940-7170. Hey, Barry, let's get the show started.
I'm on my way.
Okay.
Discussing today's topics from an African American perspective, this is Another View.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Another View. I'm Barbara Ham-Lee. I've always got to bring you something exciting and cool that's happening in the community before we get into our conversation. And those of you who are writers, those of you who love listening to fantastic writing, have we got something special for you. The Department of English and Foreign Languages at Norfolk State University presents the 7th William Carroll Writers Festival. Now, it is April 6th through 8th, and it is virtual. And so you will be able to check out day sessions and evening sessions, and it is featuring Randolph Walker and Ben Nakahasabe Kingsley. There will be, all the events are free and open to the public. There will be readings by NSU faculty, including Professor Keela Booth, and I know that's going to be awesome. And also there will be entering the conversation, crafting research and writing for higher education, a writer's journey discussion, all kinds of things. Student submissions will be there. And if you want to know more information and also to find out how to connect to the Zoom links, call Dr. Jocelyn Heath at 757-823-2827. That's 757-823-2827, the 7th William Carroll Writers Festival. Good luck to you all over there at Norfolk State University. All kinds of good stuff going on with NSU, and congratulations, by the way, to the basketball team. You showed off well on the national stage, and so we're very, very proud of you. So, and I also want to thank all of you who have made your pledge of support to WHRV and Another View and become a member of the WHRO family. We truly appreciate you. And now is the time to call to support our show, Another View. If you call within the hour, we have a $1,000 challenge. Your donation will be matched dollar for dollar up to $1,000. We know that our Another View audience is very generous, and so we are looking to bust that goal wide open. And so give us a call at 1-800-940-7170. And I'm sure our guest today will tell you to be sure to deduct that contribution to Another View as part of your charitable giving on your taxes. Please welcome to Another View Mr. Eric Pierre, certified public accountant and CEO, founder, and principal of Pierre Accounting. Eric's Twitter account at YourFaveCPA is on Forbes' Top 100 Must-Follow Tax Twitter Accounts. I'm impressed, Eric. How are you?
Good morning, and thank you for having me, and congratulations on your 10-year anniversary.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, we're pretty excited about being on. So, so much going on with the pandemic, 2020, last minute changes with the passing of the $9 trillion stimulus check package. When the IRS said, we'll give you until May 17th, did you, as a professional, breathe a sigh of relief, or did you just go, oh, gosh, I still got to keep at the grind?
Well, which answer do you want me to hear? Want me to say?
The truth.
I probably did a little bit of both.
Mm-hmm.
In the in the tax professional community, we didn't exactly celebrate because what they didn't do was give an extension on the first quarter estimated tax payment.
Yeah.
So we felt like it's a mixed message. Okay, you can extend your tax form, but you still have to make your Q1 estimated payment by April 15th. So that doesn't make sense.
So how confusing is that in terms of, when they pass a big package at the end of the year, you've got to deal with that and all the changes that means in terms of tax information. How do you learn what you need to know so that you can advise your clients?
Well, for me, I'm fortunate to be part of, the tax store community where we have people like, good tax writers like Kelly Phillips Erb, and we have also some practitioners that take the lead to educate us on these things. And you also have, continuing education. So that's how we keep up with it. But it can be overwhelming at times. And, what we were concerned about is when they signed the new law that some of us had clients that already had reported their unemployment benefits as taxable income, but the new bill said that the first $10,200 was tax-free for households making $150,000 under. But the IRS recently said they promised to readjust the calculation for those whose returns are already filed with such things, even though they just now released a worksheet for those that have not filed yet to do the exclusion. So, and of course, we don't trust the IRS to respond properly because they still have not processed all the 2020 tax returns from what they've admitted through their testimony with Congress recently.
So what should we be thinking about in terms of 2020, the average taxpayer? Not we'll talk about the high end folks in a minute, but just the average taxpayer. What are some of the things that you want to make sure you are including or excluding because of the pandemic?
That's a great question, and it seems to be very fluid. So for 2020, if you did not receive a stimulus payment last year, or the one last year and the one in January, and you qualify on your AGI, 75,000 under for single, 150,000 under for married, you need to report on your tax return that you did not get it, and you'll be able to receive those stimulus payments as recovery rebate credits, which are refundable credits, which will either increase your refund on your return or reduce your taxable income. Your tax liability. Sorry, that's what I meant to say.
So they'll either give you the money or they'll subtract it from the money you owe. Is that what we're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
Right, and then if you did receive those stimulus payments, the one last year and the one in January, you do need to report it. It is not taxable because it was an advanced tax credit, but you do need to report it on your 1040. The IRS expects you to do that. They sent you forms documenting what you received, so you'll want to do that. That's one thing I definitely would make sure to do. Is that something I keep in mind, because there were a lot of people that didn't qualify for the stimulus because their income on 2019, but in 2020, since a lot of us lost money, they may not qualify, and you want to make sure you get those as credits on your tax return.
Would you advise, with this year being as fluid and as crazy as it is, even though I know you're a professional tax person, would you advise the average person to get tax help as opposed to doing it on their own, or is the software up enough to cover it?
I would advise this year, with the fluid regulations changes, that you get a tax professional. Even if you're the average taxpayer, and remember, the average taxpayer does have a small business, and there's provisions in the CARES Act that if you had a what we call net operating loss, you can carry back 5 years and go get taxes you paid the previous 5 years back to you. So there's a lot of complexities and opportunities that people are missing out on or not aware. And this is the year that you may want to invest a little money with a good tax professional, such as my team at Pierre Accounting, to help make sure you're getting all this money. As I say, make sure you get all this money.
Let me make sure our listeners can call in to ask questions they may have. 440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. Those are the numbers to call to talk and ask Eric questions about taxes that you will not have to make a pledge at that number. 440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. What are your tax questions? What are you concerned about, particularly for 2020? 440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. So, Eric, a lot of people were laid off during the pandemic, and they received extra payment in the way of unemployment checks. Is the extra money that the federal government provided, is that taxable? Is that extra income? How is that to be handled for tax purposes?
Okay. So, again, I may have mentioned earlier, but in case you missed it, so Congress announced that if your income is $150,000 and under, the first $10,200 you received in unemployment benefits.
Unemployment, okay.
It is tax-free if you're at that threshold. So, for instance, if you received $15,000 and your income's under $150,000, there's a new worksheet that the IRS just released, if you've not filed your taxes yet, that will allow you to exclude the first $10,200. If you've already filed your tax return, the IRS says it will automatically adjust your return, but you can also file an amended return to exclude the first $10,200.
Okay, got it. All right. And if you were a contractor, an independent contractor, are there certain rules or certain things you need to be thinking about in terms of filing for this year?
Can you repeat that question one more time?
If you're an independent contractor, if you had an opportunity to work for a variety of people as an independent contractor, are there any changes or anything that you need to think about in terms of filing your taxes for 2020?
Yes. If you're an independent contractor, if you had a net operating loss in your business and you paid taxes the previous 5 years, you may be able to apply that loss to carry it back up to 5 years that the CARES Act allows you to do. Because under the current tax law, carrybacks were taken away, but that was temporarily suspended because of the pandemic. So if you lost significant money in your small business as a contractor or corp, and you have enough that you not owe any taxes, and you have this loss, you could carry it back and potentially get previously paid taxes back into your wallet.
So now I see why you said that it's probably a good idea to get a professional to help you out with that. 440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. Barbara joins us from Norfolk. Hi, Barbara. You're on the air.
Hey, Barbara. I got a question. I'm grateful for y'all, and I'll take the answer off air.
Okay.
Someone told me that I could file exempt for 6 months and 6 months on, 6 months off, and I ended up on the IRS. I'll never do that again. But what do y'all think about that?
Okay.
And what are deductibles?
All right. Don't hang up. Don't hang up because he may have a question to ask you. Okay. So hold on for a second. Did you hear that, Eric?
No. Thank you for calling. Can you slow down a little bit and repeat your question? I heard that you said you filed exempt 6 months and then you were not exempt 6 months. Is that what you said?
Yeah, because somebody else was telling me they were doing that and they were getting all this money, and I ended up on a lot, and they said they never all. I'm like, ay.
Yeah, well, first of all, I always tell people, if somebody's giving you advice that's not a tax professional, you shouldn't listen to it. There's too many people out there giving bad advice, and you can't hold them liable. So that's the first thing I would recommend. And I'm not the only tax professional out there, but you want to be careful because no two situations are the same. Just like me and my associate, we wear two different shoe sizes. If he wears my size 14 shoes, it's gonna look like clown shoes. If I wear his size 11 shoes, I'm gonna have a broken toe trying to fit in it. So that's the first thing I recommend. And then as for your situation exempt, I recommend that if you don't have a tax professional, you should work with one to do an estimate on your with withholdings because you can change it throughout the year. But unfortunately, the new W-4 out there is a lot more complicated now because you can't just do 0 and 2. The IRS purposely set up for Americans to owe more taxes, unfortunately. So this is something that you may want to do a small consultation with a tax professional such as myself offline to help make sure that for your particular situation that you're not in a situation where you owe the IRS excessive amounts of tax.
And Barbara, you were asking something about deductibles?
Yes, what does that mean?
What is a deductible? Okay, we can take that one off the air. Go ahead, Eric, if you will explain what deductibles are.
Deductibles, you talk about for health insurance because W-2 wage earners don't have a lot of deductions other than these, state and local income tax of $10,000 and charitable contributions and medical expenses of 7.5% above their AGI. So I'm not quite sure what she means.
I think what she's trying to understand is exactly when someone says you have deductibles, what does that mean? And what does the term mean is what she was asking. So these are things that you can subtract from your taxes, right?
Yeah, you don't have a lot under the new tax law and one thing I want to mention, a lot of W-2 wage earners are working from home. The tax code does not allow you to deduct home office expenses. That's one thing that a lot of you have to be a business owner. They took that away in the 2018 tax law.
So if your company such as WHRO, for example, because everyone moved to working from home when the pandemic struck, if you are a full-time employee or part-time employee for this organization, as an example, you cannot use your home office as a deduction.
No, you cannot. If you're a W-2 earner, no, you can't.
That's very interesting. I did not know that. 440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. Elsie, I believe is the name, from Newport News.
Hi there.
Hi.
Hello.
Yes, you're on the air.
Thank you. My question might be too complicated, but if we had a property and it was our primary residence, but it had an income apartment attached to it, we had to sell it at a loss in 2019. If it was handled in 2019 taxes, can any of that depreciation and issues with that property carry over into 2020, or is it done because it was closed out in 2019?
It was done in 2019 on that transaction, but if you, did the transaction cause you to have an overall loss in your tax return for that year? Or you just lost the transaction that you were able to absorb against the rest of your AGI?
Oh, no, it ended up adjusting our AGI such that we got a huge refund.
Yeah, then that's all you can do, because now if you had a net operating loss, you could have applied it back for previous years. So that's basically the end of that transaction.
Okay, so that means 2020 should be cleaner.
That's correct, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the call. We appreciate that. 440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. Those are the numbers to call for whatever tax questions that you may have. Got a question from Facebook. So Elise from Suffolk, she's a college student who worked as an independent contractor last summer. She received a 1099. When she plugged in what she earned into one of the tax software, it said that she owed $600. What can she do or deduct to offset what she owes?
That's a great question. She should be able to claim a home office deduction since she's an independent contractor. If she did any driving, she should be able to at least deduct the driving to and from her home to the job if she worked on site, any cell phone expenses, any utilities, and any computer equipment that she purchased to help her do her job. There's up to 475 deductions. If I tried to tell you all of them right now,
wow,
I would put you all to sleep. So, but those are a few that she may not have put on there. So those are some examples that I have for you there.
Okay, and for $600, some of those things would probably easily offset some of that she owes. Yeah, absolutely. So, small businesses, if you got a PPP loan, for example, what are the tax ramifications behind that?
Okay, so at the federal level, there are not any tax implications, but depending on your state, you may have to pay some tax on your PPP loan. So, for instance, in the state of Texas, they're not taxing you if you received one. In the state of California, I read that, we have 2 offices in California. If you received a PPP loan of $150,000 or more, you have to pay a small tax. So you have to check with your respective state on whether you are going to be taxed on receiving a PPP loan.
Oh, okay. So it just depends on the individual states, but from the federal perspective, there is no charge.
Right.
There.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Elise joins us from Norfolk. Hi, Elise. You're on the air.
Hi. Thank you, Barbara. I've been a big fan of the show for many years now.
Thank you.
I just had a question for the tax expert about independent contractors. I wanted to know if he had any idea about what was the limit of how much money you can make as an independent contractor in Virginia before you have to pay back your taxes.
Wow, that's well, I don't practice in Virginia, so I don't know that answer offhand. I know that the exemption federally, if you may, the individual, I think it's $12,000, and married is there's a $12,400, and I think married is $24,800. So if you're single, I think the first $12,000 is tax free, but you're still going to have the self-employment tax federally. Right. But I can't speak for Virginia law, unfortunately. I don't practice there right now.
Okay,
I got you.
Thanks so much for the call. I appreciate that. But to her point, also, in terms of being an independent contractor, what are some of the things that people miss, Eric, in terms of as they're thinking about how to spend their money, how to save their money, how to put money aside for taxes? Because with the 1099, you get the full amount, and you're responsible for the taxes. So what are some things that you tell people to do?
Well, like I said, I'm going to continue to say this a lot, and your listeners may not like hearing it. So first thing you should do is that you should consult with your tax professional. I recommend that you pay for an hour or two tax professional's time because there's so many things that they're missing. Because, for instance, if you're an independent contractor and you're making $30,000 or $50,000 and up, you may need to look at creating a corporate entity that could save you on your payroll taxes. And, we've done that analysis for clients of ours. Unfortunately, we had a client in California. I don't want to say her name in case she's listening. She's an independent contractor, very successful in her business. We told her as we started Income Rising, you really should create, this certain type of entity to save your payroll tax. And she said, no, I'm not going to do it right now. I'm not ready. I don't want to spend the money, blah, 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 blah. I got a call from her husband the other day. They owe about $60,000 to $80,000 in taxes to the IRS.
Ooh.
Had they listened to me and spent a couple $1,000s, they would have only owed $20,000.
Wow.
I did the analysis. Yes. Because I will speak for people in my industry. A lot of people will call a tax professional and they want tax professionals to do work for next to nothing instead of looking at the return on investment. And, our services are not cheap, but we provide a high return on investment. Most of our clients usually get an ROI of at least 5 to 10 to 20 a year, which is a lot more than what a wealth manager can give you every year.
An ROI, return on investment. Correct.
Yes,
I just want to make sure, because we've got some people out there that are not financial experts, and so we want to make sure that they're understanding the terminology. Absolutely.
Right, and the reason this is important because every year our people in this country overpay taxes by $2 to $3 billion a year.
That they pay too much?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we overpay our taxes as a nation $2 to $3 billion a year.
And is that
on
from
average.
mistakes or just from lack of knowledge?
Both. Mistakes from, we have a lot of small business owners that hire substandard professionals, and then we also have people that just, because, our country and the public schools don't require you to really learn personal finance to understand the tax code. Unlike in other countries where I've traveled around the world, where they may not be tax experts, but they understand the tax implications of their business and personal finances better than we do in the United States. So that's the two things: a lack of education and a lack of willingness to invest in their situation. Because the reality is that taxes is going to be the biggest expense that you're going to pay. But a lot of Americans are not willing to invest in how to minimize it, because you can. There are so many ways to minimize tax at all wealth levels, and that savings over time can really make a difference on your generational wealth and financial legacy.
I want to talk more about that in just a moment. But if you're just joining us, we're talking about taxes with CPA Eric Pierre, CEO, founder, and principal of Pierre Accounting, with offices in San Diego, Los Angeles, and Austin, Texas. Before we get back to our conversation, let's check in with producer Lisa Godley about how we're doing with our membership drive. Lisa, is this number I see on my screen? My heart is breaking.
I know,
really?
mine too. when I made the call and found out what's happening. Yeah, come on, folks. $240. We have done so much better than that in the past.
Oh, yes, we
have
have.
done so much better than that in the past. And I want to challenge all my NSU Spartans to support Another View. Make a donation. Call in.
Absolutely. And the number to call to make that donation is 1-800-940-7170. 1-800-940-7170. Or you can text the word GIFT, G-I-F-T, to that same number, 800-940-7170, and make your pledge of support online. Another View family. We know you're listening. We know you're there because you're there all the time. And so now is the time to support us. Support us this year if you haven't done it in the past, because, it is a major accomplishment that we've been on the air for 10 years talking about issues that matter to you. And so we need to hear from you. And I am stunned because normally by this time
we're in the
pledge things, we're in the thousands.
Absolutely.
Your dollars right now up to 1 o'clock and up to $1,000 will be matched dollar for dollar. So if you want to stretch that money, Eric's talking about ways that you can save on your taxes. One of those ways is to make charitable contributions.
Charitable
right
donations.
Here.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But Lisa, you and I have been together the entire 12 years, actually, because Another View started in 2009 on TV. Mm-hmm. But what is it that makes you get up in the morning to get ready for this show?
What makes me I just like making a difference. I love talking to people in the community and them telling me how much they enjoy the show, how much they learn from it. They just enjoy Another View. And I love being a part of a show that makes a difference in the community. I love coming up with ideas and things. And you and I, we have a good time with that, things that will make a difference in people's lives. And, we want to be here another 10 years. So
we sure do.
Show us you love us. Send us some love. Make a donation.
Absolutely. And again, reminding you that we also have the Another View T-shirts and sweatshirts. The sweatshirt is for a sustaining gift of $15 a month or a one-time gift of $180. You can get a sweatshirt that celebrates our 10-year anniversary and says on it, Black lives have always mattered to Another View. Or you could get a T-shirt because it's 70 degrees outside, so it's T-shirt time.
That's
exactly. Right. For $10 a month as a sustainer. And what a sustaining member does is give us a credit card or a checking account number, and we take that amount out each month until you tell us to stop. And so 1-800-940 7170. That's the number to call. Please don't make us have egg on our face and not at least reach our $1,000 goal.
That's right. We don't want to have to give anything back. We don't want to leave anything on the table.
Exactly. We definitely don't want to leave anything on the table. But seriously, folks, if you love this show, if you appreciate the conversations that we've had, if you appreciate the opportunity to really share how you're feeling, particularly in these times, we've been through not only the health pandemic, but we've also been through and are going through a racial pandemic.
Absolutely.
And Another View is an opportunity for you to hear exactly what the title says, another view about what's happening in our society, in our country today. We try to bring you information that will help you, like with Eric Pierre that we have on today talking about taxes and something that all of us have to deal with. But we also tackle the tough subjects. We talk about racism. We talk about privilege. We talk about those things that are uncomfortable. But you tell me when we're in the community, and Lisa, I believe you hear this also.
All the time.
It's an opportunity to hear a conversation that you normally would not hear and that you learn from it, as Dr. Barry Graham was talking about earlier. So show us how much you love us. Give us a call, 940-7170. Oh, I got too many phone numbers here. The number for pledging, 800-940-7170. Lisa, I'll check in back with you in a little bit.
Absolutely, and hopefully I'll have some really good news for you.
Absolutely. And Eric, I want to come back to you. Thank you for your patience as we talk about this. Speaking of charitable deductions, though, do you have to itemize in order to get a credit for making charitable deductions?
Yes, and to be able to itemize, you have to have on your Schedule A more than your standard deduction to be able to itemize in your tax return. So that's how you get the deduction.
Okay. All right. So can you give me some numbers or give me an example?
Sure. So with the standard deduction being for single $12,400, let's say I have $10,000 in taxes, I have mortgage interest of $5,000, so that's $15,000. Now I'm above the standard deduction. Then let's say I have $20,000 in charitable deductions. Now I can claim that on my Schedule A, and so now my itemized deductions altogether are $35,000, which exceeds the $12,000 standard deduction, and that's what I get to use to lower my tax.
And that's what you use to lower your taxes. Now, I read an article that there is a question on the 1040 form now about virtual currency. Bitcoins.
Oh, yes, crypto.
Yes, crypto. Yes. What's that all about?
Okay, so that's a great question. So the IRS now is requiring you to say whether you have cryptocurrency or not, first thing. Secondly, the IRS has the view that if you purchase cryptocurrency and you just purchase it and you hold on to it, they view it the same as a stock, so it's no different. So if I were to go buy $100 worth of Bitcoin today, and I just hold it, I don't sell it, it's not a taxable event, which is no different than if I were to go buy 100 shares of Apple stock. Okay. Now, where it's getting complicated is if I were to sell that, then it's easy to track if it's a long or short-term gain. But then what the problem is that we have people that are purchasing virtual currency and then they're exchanging it for another. Well, that's actually a taxable event. Or you have situations where if you get a digital wallet and you're getting paid in interest in that crypto, they're not reporting that. And now some of the digital wallet companies are starting to issue the 1099-Bs to report these transactions, but there's still some people that are not. And the IRS is starting to crack down on it, and eventually they will crack down. They always find a way to catch up to these things. It only takes a matter of time. So if you have there are people who have digital wallets of crypto with $500,000, $1 million not reporting it for tax. Eventually, they're going to get you for that.
So you must.
They always
do.
Report. They always catch people. Exactly. Yeah. Because unfortunately, there's also people using it for money laundering and tax evasion, which is a no-no.
Okay. All right. Are you a fan or not of the tax refund advances? that some
I am
companies
not a
give?
fan of that at all.
Okay, and tell us why.
I believe, just my personal opinion now, so my firm, we don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a couple reasons why. One, if you make an advance on a refund and something is wrong with that return, you have a big loan because a lot of companies are issuing those loans at high interest rates. And I tend to find those as predatory loans, particularly against black people.
Mm. Yeah, because I was going to ask if that. It seems like the African American community is a frequent consumer of that product.
Correct, and those tend to be predatory loans. You should not. We don't recommend taking those kind of advances. We do not offer that in our practice. Because I know that it's a way for them to pay the tax preparer, but we rather just get paid up front. And the government usually processes your refund if you file on time within 10 to 13 business days, and they direct deposit it.
Yeah.
So there's no need, in our opinion, because if you need the money that bad, then you have a different financial situation, and then we might be able to help you with that. But unfortunately, I believe personally it's a predatory system to make us poor.
Mm. So, I noticed that in your press materials and so forth, Eric, you have a diversity and inclusion statement. And
yes,
I found that fascinating because in my work, I do DEIJ training, and most of the time I am dealing with companies and schools and nonprofits that are predominantly white, and they are establishing their commitment to diversity and inclusion. You're African American, or you're black, rather. Pardon me. Why did you feel it necessary to have this statement?
That's a great question. Well, I believed I want to be able to have a firm where we're helping everybody be able to build a financial legacy. Because no matter what your ethnicity is, we're all fighting the same. We're all running the same race and fighting the same struggle, which is we're trying to find ways to keep our money and not let the cartel that we know as Uncle Sam take all your money. Mm-hmm. So we all have that struggle. I also made that statement because, quite frankly, if we're going to be honest, after the George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery situation, my chief operating officer, Kirsten Conway, challenged me to put that statement out there. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't sure what to think of it because, part of me is thinking, well, I'm already, I'm a black business owner. But we saw that, I believe Lowe's has a black CEO. When I saw his statement, I said, you know what, I should do that. And, we have a diverse team, and I want to show the world, particularly future clients and future, talent that we want to hire, that we're committed to having a diverse workplace. I have a diverse team of about 10 people. We have black and white and Hispanic. We have old and young. And I want to show that commitment. And so because of that, I made a decision to do that, and I don't regret it. Have I received some hate mail for it? Absolutely. I've received hate mail for it.
I would love to hear. And what was their reaction? I mean, I would think that they would be happy that you have this diversity and that it is important. What did they say to you?
I'm trying to be nice.
Wow.
Well, one note in particular, we received a strange email from a realtor in who happens to be from my hometown of Katy, Texas, and she just went off saying, "I don't see why you have to say these things, and I don't treat people this way, and I don't care. Love is love, blah 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 blah." And it's just like, I didn't know who she was. First of all, I thought it was a friend of mine, trolling me. I thought it was a buddy of mine. Did we double check this? Like, oh, that's a real person.
Wow.
And I think a lot of people are uncomfortable. And I've been on diversity panels, and this is something I've told people in my industry, and I'll say it here. I've said it publicly, and I'll say it again. My industry in particular is really bad with diversity. Where less than 1% of CPAs are African American. Now, there's multiple reasons why, but we're going to continue to have this until we get to a point where companies are demanding that firms make commitments to diversity to where they're losing money. That's why not a lot of businesses have that statement, because they've not been threatened with economic damage for not having that commitment. But we decided to go out in front of it because, we have, African American associates, we have Latin associates, we have Caucasian associates, we have clients of other races, and and they talk to us about their situation, and part of that statement was to show our clients that we support you. We're in this with you.
Yeah.
Because we do have a diverse client base. We have clients that tell us, about their instances of racial profiling. We've had to advise our clients on, how they've been dealt with unfairly. We've had to refer some clients to attorneys to deal with these things. So our practice is unique that way.
Got you. Yeah, well, I found it refreshing, just so you know. But it did make me pause, because it made me think that I really have not seen that a lot from people of color, as opposed to others who have been making their statements. Let's go back to the phone lines. Jim joins us from Virginia Beach. Hi, Jim. You're on the air.
Hello. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm finally enjoying some nice 70-degree weather. It's been a while.
Yes. What's your question?
I was just going to ask, you hear all the time about how everyone's getting these new stimulus payments, but one sort of overlooked group is college kids, or really specifically young kids, and they're declared as dependents by their kids, even though they could be over 18 or something like that. And I was just wondering, can you think of anything beneficial coming out in the new administration for young kids in college?
In terms of taxes and future tax reform, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll ask Eric to respond to that. Go ahead, Eric.
Wow, that's a great question. What a great question, Jim. The one thing I can say, I read through the newly signed bill, the American Rescue Act, American Rescue Plan Act, excuse me. And there was a provision. Now, it was not completely addressed, but there is a place in the bill in the future for student loans to be forgiven and it not be a taxable event. They did not actually execute it right now. There is language that allows Congress to pull that off in the future. Plus, they did not raise the minimum wage right now, but there's ability for them to do that in the future. So those are the two things I would say I would look for young people with this administration, particularly the student loan debt part. That it looks like in the future they're going to try it. We don't know if you're going to exhaust all your debt or if you're going to have thresholds. But if they do, that it will not be. They're wanting to not be a taxable event, because debt forgiveness in our tax code is taxable unless Congress says it's not. So
got you.
That's something to be on the lookout for. Whether it actually happens in this administration or not, I can't tell you. I'm not there. I'm not there in Washington debating that. So.
You don't have the crystal ball, the DC crystal ball, huh?
So I wish I did. I'd be a billionaire right now.
So, Eric, over the years, as you've done, taxes for individuals and companies and all your accounting work, can you think of maybe the top 3 mistakes that people constantly make in terms of preparing taxes, filing their taxes, paying their taxes, anything surrounding taxes? Are there 3 major things that you just go, oh, here we go again?
Okay, three. One of the top ones is a lot of people forget to report their health insurance on their tax return if they paid from the marketplace. So that's one. Second,
yes, because you get a separate form for that.
Right, and you do have to report that.
And you have to report that. Okay, all right.
And that could cause you to have extra taxes, but for some people, they actually could get a bigger refund out of that. So you don't want to forget. That's one of the top mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing would be second mistake would be clients not keeping good books and records. We have seen clients overreport income because they didn't keep good books and records to track their expenses, and they actually had valid business expenses, but because they can't support it, we can't put that in a tax return, because if you're audited, you got to show proof, or as we say, habeas corpus in court. Show me the proof. And we've been through IRS audits where clients put things that weren't there, and they got in trouble for that. So that'd be the second thing.
So that means they're not keeping receipts. They're not keeping records of things.
Or not keeping good records.
Okay.
And there's so many inaccessible tools. QuickBooks even has has self-employment. Has a software called QuickBooks Self-Employed for $5 a month. You can connect your bank account and swipe left and swipe right, and the IRS does accept QuickBooks for record keeping, as I'm actually going through a couple audits with clients right now.
Okay.
So that's the second thing. And I think the third thing overall is that they're not consulting with a tax professional. I told you I'd say this a lot. I'm going to continue to say it. That's the third mistake, because so many people, particularly small business owners, are overpaying on their payroll taxes right now because they didn't consult with a good tax professional. And unfortunately, most people don't know the difference between a good one and a bad one.
So what are the things that you need to take into consideration as you're considering someone to be your tax professional? What questions should you be asking? What should you look for?
Well, that's a good question. So just a few things, not to bore you. One, now that everybody uses Google, you should look to see. You should look up the tax professional and see, for instance, are they willing to show their face on their website? There's a lot of CPAs that do not put a picture of themselves. Well, to me, that's a problem, because that tells me that if there's a problem, you're going to hide. So make sure you go to their website. Make sure you can see their headshot, that they're showing who they are. That's really important. I also check to see, do they have a lot of good reviews? Now, not having reviews doesn't mean that they're bad, but that could be an indicator that because these days there's so much out there. If you, for instance, Google Pierre Accounting in San Diego, you'll see that we have over 75 5-star reviews. We've worked with all kinds of people. We have people that, our record speaks for ourselves. I don't have to justify who I am because of that. So I will look for that. And then also I would see if I would also ask if they have experience in that industry and to prove it. Now, they're not going to give you free advice, but, you want to make sure that they are competent in understanding your industry and your situation and give examples of how they have provided savings. Those are things that I would look for because, unfortunately, most people in my industry, there are some very good professionals, and even, for people that don't want to work with me because maybe, I'm not local, I can find someone locally that's really good in our network, that they're committed to keeping up with the tax laws, and they're willing to have the conversations with you. So, because, for instance, there's a tax credit out there that's way better than the PPP called the Employee Retention Tax Credit. There are a lot of tax professionals not having that conversation with their accountant. And for some business owners, they may be able to get as much back as $2 to $3 million from the government tax-free this year. And sadly, a lot of accountants are not keeping up with it. And, business owners are finding out from other sources, and they say, let me go talk to my accountant. And because their accountant didn't keep up with it, their accountant will discourage them from going and getting money that the government is willing to give them if you go get it and follow the rules. Because so many businesses lost money, there's two ways for you to qualify, but a lot of business owners are missing out on that money because so many of their tax professionals are not keeping up with the rules.
So how do you know, I'm not trying to ask what you charge, but how do you know if the fee, is there kind of a standard for the CPA industry that it's a certain percentage or whatever that you're going to pay, or does it really depend on your individual tax situation?
It will depend on the firm, but I will say this. If you're having a professional charge you, let's say $200 to a business return, you should run away from that. A small business return, which is a non-corporate one, you should be paying anywhere from $500 to maybe $800 and up. And if you have a corporation, you should be paying on average anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 and up, depending on the complexity of the situation. That would be the baseline. There's going to be some higher and lower depending on the size of the practice and also the geography. There are certain states where people don't charge those kind of prices, but from what I know across the country, those tend to be the good baselines for pricing.
Okay. And how should you, just to go back to that record keeping for small businesses for just a second, besides doing it online with a QuickBooks or some other sort of software, what else should you be thinking about in terms of what you will need to show the work in your business to prove the deductions?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite get all that. There was something wrong with my phone. Can you say that one more time?
Okay. All right. I was just asking, in terms of small business, besides using QuickBooks or something, what else should you be doing in terms of keeping good records? What do you need to think about?
Yeah, you should definitely use QuickBooks. You should have some sort of electronic repository system to keep certain documents. And then if you have a good tax professional, they can keep your tax records in a portal for you, so you can go in and get your tax returns anytime you want. Because if you want to go apply for business loans or apply for a house, you're going to need your past tax records. And so our firm, we provide a portal for our existing clients so that whenever they need those tax records, they can go get it and then show it to the lender.
Okay. All right. And my final question as we come down to the last 2 minutes or so of the show, talking specifically now about the African American community as a whole, I know we're not a monolith, but just kind of as a whole, do we have the right attitude about taxes?
No.
Okay, and why not? And why not?
I'm sorry. No. Overall, no, we don't. Part of it is just we just don't have, in our community, and it's complex. Part of it, there's not a lot of us community or financial professionals, so we just don't talk about money a lot. Yeah. When we get together, we talk about sports, entertainment. We talk about who's doing what, who's doing who, more than we talk about money. But if you look at, our white counterparts, when they get together, they talk about money.
Yeah.
They're teaching their kids money, And then also, we just don't seem to have a good understanding of what we value, how we spend, because, for instance, I feel bad for sharing the story, but I'm going to have to just for you to understand.
Okay, we got 30 seconds.
I had an African woman contact me, want me to do a complex tax return for $100, but then she's the same woman that's willing to spend $1,000 on a Gucci bag.
Gotcha.
You tell me.
I understand exactly what you're saying. So we need to set our priorities and take it seriously. So Eric Pierre, he is the principal owner and CEO of Pierre Accounting. Thank you so much for joining us here on Another View. We really appreciate it. And thank you for taking the time out, because I know this is a really busy time of the year for you. So this last hour, you're going to have to make it up to your client somewhere.
No, it's okay. I'm always working, and thank you for having me, and congratulations on your 10-year anniversary.
Thank you so much. We appreciate that. We'll talk soon. So, Lisa Godley, I'm coming back to you. How are we doing in these last couple minutes we have for the show? I think we at least made our $1,000 match. Yes,
We did. We have raised $3,584.
Okay, a little short of our hopeful about $5,000, but that's okay.
Well, calls are still coming in, so we may actually still get that.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. And you can still call at 440. Nope, not that number. 1-800-940-7170. Hey, next week on Another View, can you imagine being in a meeting when your opening statement is, "Hi, my name is," and I'm a racist? You do not want to miss next week's show. Our theme music is an original music composed and performed especially for Another View by Jay Sennett. Lisa Godley is our show producer. Todd Washburn is our audio engineer, and Dr. Barry Graham answered our phones. It's not too late to become a member and support Another View. 800-940-7170 is the number to call. Thanks to everyone who has already made your gift of support, and be sure to join us next Thursday at noon for Another View.
Support comes from Hampton Roads Community Foundation, carrying out your charitable wishes forever, whether it's helping shelter animals, feeding the homeless, enhancing the arts, or supporting students. Learn more at leaveabequest.org.